Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're taking a deep analytical dive into a viral piece of internet culture that promises a pretty strange kind of social mastery. We're going to break down a highly specific, rapidly shared set of instructions that claims to give you ultimate control in everyday human interactions. It's fascinating, it's definitely a little mysterious, and we are going to decode exactly what this source material is really teaching.
Picture this for a second. You're in the absolute most chaotic social situation imaginable. Someone is right in your face. Their voice is totally raised. The aggression is palpable. Now, what if there was a guaranteed, almost surgical way to just completely shut them down in a fraction of a second? Not by yelling back, not by storming off, but by using a calculated psychological trigger.
The tactics we're unpacking today all trace back to a persona in our source material known as dark psychology master Johan Liebert. Now, to be clear, we're neutrally examining the exact claims made in this viral playbook. We aren't here to endorse these maneuvers, right? We're just here to understand the fascinating mechanics of human behavior that this so-called dark psychology text claims to exploit. We're going to see exactly how these three specific tips are designed to work.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Tactic 1, inducing nervousness.
Let's start with what you might call the foundational element of social control, making the other person uncomfortable. Our source text outlines this incredibly common yet subtle shift in one-on-one power dynamics. Say you're in a conversation, an interview, or even just a casual chat, and you have a very specific goal. You want to induce a state of nervousness in the person sitting across from you. You want to subtly knock them off balance. So how does the playbook tell you to pull this off?
The instruction here is honestly surprisingly simple. You don't say anything intimidating. You don't puff out your chest or change your posture. You just look at their forehead. I mean, think about the pure awkwardness of that. Eye contact is this universally agreed upon social contract, and by moving your gaze just a couple of inches higher, the source claims you break that contract entirely.
Look at the stark contrast here. On the one hand, you have this incredibly minimal physical shift, looking slightly upward, which requires literally zero physical exertion or verbal wit. Yet on the other hand, it promises a maximum psychological result. The target feels immediately nervous. It forces them to start spiraling, wondering, wait, is there something on my face? Am I sweating? Why aren't they looking me in the eye? It's a minimal effort input for a maximum discomfort output.
All right, let's shift gears. Tactic 2, silencing aggression.
So what happens when things aren't so subtle anymore? We are moving straight from a quiet stare to an explosive confrontation. The tension is high, you are actively being yelled at, and your single objective is to make them shut up immediately. You need to stop their momentum completely dead in its tracks.
Now, what's really interesting here is the exact, specific phrasing the text demands you use. You look at them and you say, damn, all what they said about you is true. It's this disorienting verbal shockwave. It completely bypasses whatever argument they were just making and instantly introduces an unseen collective threat. I mean, who is they? What was said? And here is the absolute ironclad promise from the text. They won't say another word, just total silence. The aggression is instantly replaced by paranoia and confusion. This triggers immediate cognitive overload. Their brains simply cannot process the intense, red-hot anger of the argument and the sudden panic of this brand-new social threat at the exact same time. Let's meticulously deconstruct the mechanics here, because the text is incredibly specific about how this maneuver has to happen. It's a two-step process. Step 1 requires you to look directly in their eyes, which is a stark contrast to that forehead stare from earlier. You must establish dominant, unflinching contact. Then step 2 is delivering the phrase. The sheer shock value of the statement relies entirely on the unwavering confidence of the eye contact backing it up.
Which brings us to Tactic 3, detecting observers.
For our final tactic, the source text shifts the dynamic entirely. We're moving away from direct confrontation and straight into hidden observation. Imagine you're in a crowded room, maybe a bustling cafe, a classroom, or a packed subway car. You get that weird prickle on the back of your neck. You just know you're being watched, but you definitely don't want to spin around and give yourself away. It's a classic hunter versus hunted dynamic. So, how do you flush out an unseen observer without letting them know you're onto them?
So the crucial point is how this completely weaponizes an involuntary biological reflex. It doesn't tell you to use a reflective surface or, try to awkwardly catch them in your peripheral vision. It tells you to perform literally the most mundane, everyday action imaginable. You just yawn.
The source text lays out this remarkably simple cause and effect loop. Step 1, you yawn. Step 2, they will yawn back. Yawning is famously contagious, right? That's thanks to the mirror neurons in our brains. If someone is secretly staring at you, intently monitoring your face, their brain will involuntarily mirror your action. By simply opening your mouth and taking a deep breath, you're acting like a radar ping, forcing that hidden observer to reveal themselves through their own uncontrollable biological reflex.
Pulling it all together, the power of manipulation.
As we pull back and look at the big picture, a really clear theme emerges from these three disparate tactics, and this brilliantly illustrates the core philosophy of this playbook. We have three distinct triggers: the forehead stare, the silencing phrase, and the yawn contagion. Whether the goal is to induce awkward nervousness, silence pure rage, or unmask a hidden observer, the source text relies entirely on hijacking natural human reactions. It is all about achieving maximum social control with the absolute bare minimum amount of physical or verbal effort.
We've visualized the mechanics of these viral claims today. We've seen exactly how simple inputs are designed to yield massive psychological outputs. But, the real takeaway goes way beyond the tricks themselves. Knowing that these texts are out there, being widely shared and actively studied, leaves us with a pretty critical thought. As you walk into your next conversation, your next argument, or even just a crowded room, how will you navigate a world where these subtle, invisible tactics might be constantly at play around you?